Good afternoon, 8th graders. This is our video on solving multi-step inequalities. This is going to be pretty much what we've been doing in class with equations, so it shouldn't be too challenging. Just think about that inequality sign as an equal sign and do the same thing you would do in that situation. So the same steps we have for equations. First one, combine all the like terms on both sides of the inequality. You may not have to do that because there may not be any like terms on the same side of the inequality. So, like in this example up here, on the left side there's no like terms, on the right side there's no like terms. Now, one thing to remember is you only combine like terms if they're on the same side. So like -3 and 5 up here, those would be considered like terms, but because they're on opposite sides of the inequality sign, you can't combine them. The second step would be to move the terms that have variables to the same side of the inequality. So in our example up here, there's only one term with a variable, 2x. On the other side, there isn't one, so we don't have to do step 2. Say there was a plus 3x on this side, we would have to move it, or the 2x, either one, we just pick one of them, and we move it to the other side to get all those together. But that isn't there, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, our last step will be to solve for the variable by isolating it, by giving it alone. We do that by reversing all the operations that are near it in backwards order. Now, with inequalities, there's one special thing that isn't there with equations. If there's ever a situation where you have to divide or multiply both sides by a negative number, to solve for the variable, you have to remember you turn that inequality sign around. So if it looks like this, it becomes that. Wait, it becomes that. You have to turn it around. Okay, now for a little joke. Did you hear the one about the kidnapping at school? It's okay. He woke up. Get it? He woke up kidnapping? All right, moving on. First example we have up here. We don't have to do step 1 because there's no variables on both sides. I'm sorry, because there's no like terms on one side. We don't have to do step 2 because there's no variables on both sides. So we just do step 3. We solve for the variable. Now the subtraction is further away from the variable than the multiplication, so we get rid of the subtraction first. We add to get rid of subtraction, make sure we show work on both sides, bring down everything, including the inequality sign. Now we divide to get rid of division, multiplication, and then we divide on the other side by the same number, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now we need to graph this. So we always put 0, 4 is positive, so it's to the right. We put our circle above the 4, above the 0. It's not shaded in because there isn't a line under it. And then we think x is larger than 4, so we draw our arrow in that direction. We want to draw what could x be. X could be 7, it could be 9, it could be 10, so we're pointing that way. All right, number 2, you're going to do on your own. And go ahead and turn over. We got one more joke, actually. What do you call a fly with no wings? What do you call a fly with no wings? A walk. You get it? Because you can't fly, so you just walk. All right. Number 3. So this, we will have to do step 1. Actually, I'm not going to circle that because you don't have to do that on your own. You will do number 4 on your own, so go ahead and circle that. Okay, number 3, we have to do that first step. We have to combine like terms. So in this situation, it's -3x and -4x. I'm sorry, +3x and -4x. And we have to be very careful to remember the sign to the left of the term is attached to it. So this subtraction sign is like a negative sign on the 4x. Now, when we put those together, they're different signed terms. So just like if you have different signed numbers, we have to subtract. So we subtract 3 and 4, and we get 3x and 4x, and we get 1x. And then we keep the sign the bigger number, so that means it's going to be negative. Everything else needs to come down. So this -2 That comes down, the inequality sign, and the 5. Now we treat this just like any other inequality that's given to us in this situation. Isolate the variable. So we do that by first reversing the subtraction. Make sure you bring down that negative sign on the 1. And now we have to think about this as multiplication of negative 1. So to get rid of multiplication of negative 1, we divide by negative 1. So x, negative 7, and then this situation was where we divided both sides by a negative number. So that means we have to turn around this inequality sign. It's going to point in the other direction. Okay, now when we graph, we put negative 7 before 0 because it's less than 0 on our number line. We draw it above the negative 7 because that's what's in our inequality up here. And then we think, all right, what is x? What could it be? It could be negative 9. It could be negative 10. It's less than negative 7. So we point in the direction that x could be. All right, and that does it for your notes. Make sure you do 2 and 4 on your own. And let me know if you have any questions.